Airline Operators of Nigeria late Sunday night suspended its plan to shut down operations to cripple the aviation sector as earlier planned today. Now, President of the AON, Alhaji Abdul Manaf Yunusa Sarina, who announced this, said the decision was taken after deliberations with the federal government. The development comes after no fewer than 6 airlines backed out of the planned shutdown, and the airlines which pulled out of the earlier joint decision to suspend operations over skyrocketing Jet A1 include Ibom Air, Dana Air, Arik Aero Overland, and Green Africa Airways. Now, how can government find a lasting solution to the crisis in the aviation sector? We have joining us virtually from Lagos, a member of the Aviation Roundtable, Olumide Ohunayo. We will actually get a situation report from Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos as well, where he will be joined by phone by our Daily Trust Aviation correspondent, Abdulateef Aliyu. All right, so we have Murtala Mohammed and Abdulateef Aliyu joining us. Good morning and welcome to Daybreak.
Good morning, Abdulateef. What's the situation at the Lagos Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos this morning?
Yes, good morning. The situation at the airport is, I want to say, it's calm. Already before there was an issue with whether the aviation unions will be going ahead with their strike, even after the airlines have suspended the plan shutdown. But from the report here is that 3 of the unions have pulled out of that warning strike, and at the moment, all the flights from Lagos, they are boarding at the moment. And also reports I had from Abuja shows that most of the morning flights are currently boarding. Though there were some issues with whether the air traffic controller who accept flight plans that were issued by the airline. But at the moment that I'm talking to you, most of the flights, the early morning flights, are boarding at the moment, and the situation is calm and normal.
Okay, but aside this issue of the cancellation of the plan shut down by the airliners, there is also the 2-day warning strike by the workers. What is the situation with that one? Are they also shelving their strike, or how is that coming up?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was actually talking about. Because when we woke up this morning, we got a statement from 3 of the unions. That's the Association of Nigerian Aviation Professionals, the Air Transport Services Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, and the National Association of Aircraft Pilots and Engineers, who dissociated themselves from the planned warning strike. They said they are actually satisfied with the discussion they had with the representative of the Ministry of Aviation, and they are optimistic that the issues that they have raised, which has to do with the condition of service and the consequential adjustments to the minimum wage, that the issue is actually receiving attention. And as a result of that, they felt there was no justification for going ahead with that strike, and as a result, they pulled out of it. But I've made efforts to talk to Nuate, which is a critical part of the union. In fact, it's one of the major aviation unions. I've tried to talk to their Secretary General this morning. I've not been able to get it. So we don't really know whether they are also going ahead with their strike. We've not really heard from them. But from what we heard, most of the flights this morning are boarding both from Lagos and Abuja. But I've spoken with some of their airlines, and they said there are no issues. Their flights are currently boarding.
All right, let's connect with our guest, joining us virtually from Lagos, a member of the Aviation Roundtable, Olumide Ohunayo. Good morning, and thank you for joining us on Daybreak today.
Good morning. I can barely hear you.
Too many. Yes. So what solutions, lasting solutions, do you think the government can actually find to this?
Can you take that again? I can barely hear there.
What I'm saying is, the crisis in the aviation sector has been persistent for a while and is one too many. Now, what lasting solutions do you think there can be, especially, with the help of the government?
Well, okay. Good morning once again. I think the government stepped in this time from both the executive and the legislature. The team from the government, while the House Committee on Aviation also led the team from the legislative arm of the government. For the first time, the government was really concerned and ensured that the strike did not take off, and that's one of the benefits of having sensitivity, taking the bull by the horn. And if like just like the report from Lagos from the airport, they were also able to nip in the bud the strike from the aviation unions. Be that it may, the problem is still there, and that problem is that disparity, that gap between the landing cost of aviation fuel in Lagos and to the airports and to the airport and outlets. Maybe it's the mode of maybe it's the taxes that are involved. That disparity, that disparity to be so wide. A meeting about 2 months, about a month ago, so 6 weeks ago, we agreed. They both all parties agreed that 500 naira would be the amount that it will be sold, that it will be reasonable and profitable for both the importers and those who are doing the distribution. How come it has moved from that 500 to 700 naira? Okay, what happened with the suggestion that you're going to allow the airlines to participate in the in of fuel? That also died and they did not leave the table after that day. And I think these are the things that they need to address. Again, the airlines are having issues with access to foreign exchange at a rate that is profitable, or that you can say could run their operations without hindering they're hitting their overall cost. What they do now is that they are complaining about having access to these funds through the black market, which is exorbitant for them. Consider this forex is what is used for the maintenance of the aircraft, for training, and even the negotiations with parties outside. So these are the core issue right now: is the rate of the exchange and aviation fuel, coupled with infrastructural deficit.
Mr. Ohia, thank you very much. But most of what you are pointing out shows it revolves around our forex crisis, because even the Jet A1 aviation fuel, the skyrocketing cost and all that is partly also connected with the forex. How are we going to, sidestep these issues that are very germane to the aviation sector, especially as we see no end in sight regarding this issue of forex crisis in the country? Is there any homegrown solution to some of these issues?
Well, we cannot continue to say that because the exchange rate is high and we will not do what we need to do. The internal lira was in a mess, and the airlines in Italy were operating. The Chinese yen, it was not strong, and the airlines in China were operating. So why would we be different? I keep wondering why we keep going back to this access to forex. I would not want the airlines to continue to push that aspect of uh, of uh, of uh, of the economy. Why, as a reason for some of the issues like late flight and cancellations and inability to perform. You are supposed to your foreign exchange by yourself from your operations from all legitimate. Now, if they want now that okay, we need this, the central bank to give a special window, not a special, but a special window. Why not? I think I support that. But I think what I am not against right now is any form of subsidy for the airline operators. The industry has backed them in the past. They've collected stabilization fund. They've collected COVID funds. All without even telling the public how these funds were dispensed. So I am not looking forward to any other form of subsidization for the airlines. Rather, I would rather want the government to support and ensure that infrastructure is improved for airlines to operate beyond the 6 p.m. that Nigeria are closing. That I want to see, and I also want to see that taxes that to the airlines that have been given for their operations, these taxes can be reduced, starting with the taxes on the aviation fuel itself. If all this, if we take they can be handled, then we'll begin to look at what other areas left. But for me, I think I do not want any form of subsidy given to the airline operators anymore.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Ohene. I will come back to you, but let me get back to Abdulatif Aliu on the phone from Lagos. Abdulatif, even before the AON finally announced cancellation of the planned shutdown last night, we saw the airlines one after the other dropping out of the planned action. Does it show that there is some internal crack within the airline industry, or what actually happened leading to the eventual cancellation of the action?
Well, thank you very much. I wouldn't really say there is internal crisis between them, because when you look at some of these airlines that pull out, in the statement that they issued to announce they are pulling out from the action, they said they actually identified with the efforts being made by the AON to get the issue resolved. And what I want to say, probably the reason why they actually pulled out was because of the pressure, the intense lobby that the federal government actually also put into the Minister of Aviation, Senator Adi Tereka. When you look at most of these airlines that pull out, even Air is owned by Akwa Ibom State government. So who knows whether it was as a result of the directive from the state government, which is the owner of the airline. And later on, we also see ARIC Air and Aero contractors also pulling out. And ARIC and Aero too are also under the government. They're managed by the Access Management Corporation of Nigeria. It's only Dana Air that said they consider the interest of their passengers, their corporate and individual passengers who have already booked flights with them and so on. So when about 8 airlines, talking about Ibom Air, Dana, ARIC, Aero, Green Africa, and Overland Airways, when the 6 of them pull out, I believe the AON saw that yes, probably the action has failed. So it's better to just announce the suspension of the action. And they also said that they actually suspended the action in response to the request by the Federal Minister of Aviation, appealing to them to look at the multiplier effect that this shutdown will actually cause to our already distressed economy. So that was why they actually suspended the action.
Okay, now Abdulatif, now aside, the airlines rescinding, the closure of their operations, now there are reports that the aviation workers have actually begun a 2-day warning strike over poor welfare. Can you give us a situation report on that, considering that you are, at the airport at the moment?
Well, the strike too, as I'm talking to you, the strike is not taking place again because of the information we had was that all the flights from Abuja this morning, they are already boarding as at the time I'm talking to you. As at this moment, they are already boarding. And also in Lagos, yes, flights are currently boarding. Though there was some delay, most of the flights that were supposed to take off very early in the morning, like 6:30, 7 o'clock, they are taking off around 8 o'clock, 8:30, and so on. It's actually because of the uncertainty around this strike. It was only this early morning that we got a notice from 3 aviation unions. That's the ANAP, like I mentioned before, AXAN and NAPE. NAPE is the Association of Aircraft Pilots and Engineers. They said they are dissociating themselves from the strike action because they had a meeting with the representative from the Ministry of Aviation, and they are satisfied with the discussion they had with them. And they are also optimistic that the government is looking at some of the issues they have raised, which they wanted to go on strike. So, but we've not heard from NOATE, the Nigerian Union of Air Transport, National Union of Air Transport Employees, and another union which has also said it was going on strike. But But the truth, at the moment, the information is that the flights are going on at the moment. So which means the strike is not taking place.
Thank you very much, Abdulatif. Mr. Unayo, if I come back to you, from the points you made, it shows that perhaps these problems persist partly because these are business ventures driven by people who are after profit making. So, do you think maybe some level of government direct investment, I mean participation in the sector, will ease off some of these problems and address these challenges?
Well, for me, I am not a man that wants government intervention in the aviation sector per se. Outside regulation, monitoring, and creating an enabling environment. I think that's where I want the government to step. But while the airlines are allowed to do the operations and compete with each other without any favorable disposition by the government to play. And in doing that, the government can still facilitate amicable settlement. That's going to astronomical. I can see that nobody's fighting for those using diesel. Probably when the marketers have seen that, and that's why the oil regulator of the downstream and upstream have turned the eyes away, or they're winking at some of the anomalies there. If I expect that the last time at the public hearing, where it was noted that there was a wide margin between the landing cost and the cost being sold to the airlines, some punishment, there have been sanctions for some people. But this is Nigeria. Nothing happened. They promised to address it, and it was not addressed. Getting close to about 700 naira, and this to the operators is not sustainable. I agree with them. There's a need to address that aviation purpose, and as we're addressing that, also begin to profile solutions on how not to get there. That solution does not die alone with the government, also with the airlines. The government can also can go ahead and begin to prepare for refining of refinery for aviation fuel. According to the state government has promised to provide one. That is a long run, but in the short term, also look at the regulation and see if they're actually monitoring the supplies, the imports, the and the actual price. The land give it to the airlines. Again, for the airlines, aviation fuel is a major cost component. Airlines don't go individually into such projects, especially when you have a lot of operations. What people do, they go into an alliance or form association and bid on behalf. They're using that they hire the supply. But you're able to bring down the price when you concentrate on your demand for the product. But what we have here is that go there individually, they even buy cash and carry. Credit facility has been removed from the areas, and that has made it more expensive. I know for you to do hedging, which is about the best way to avoid any future increase in price of aviation fuel, you need to have a large pocket to throw some money into fuel hedging. But airlines don't have that deep pocket because they're not. They don't have big investors. They're principally owned by individuals, and that huge investment needed to hedge is not there. So the airlines also have to look at themselves now. If AFRA is buying fuel for its members, AON, now that they have woken up, now that they are now strong, now that people are listening to them, now that they show the influence and the power they have, they can also start using that influence on the oil marketers, coming together to negotiate good prices for members and for themselves.
Okay, Mr. Hunaya, just before we wrap up, now we're seeing that, the unit cost per seat, is to hit 120,000 naira, which is like, almost 100%. How does that affect, the economy as in general?
Well, what is sold is the base fare is 50,000 naira. Maybe probably when you walk up to the airport on that day, which is normal everywhere in the world, or you go for a route that is like the Abuja trunk routes on the day of travel, you might probably get to pay the amount you have mentioned. In air travel, you need to plan, and if you don't plan, then you would have to pay the prices, usually the high fares. But as of today, if selling at 120 would not make the airlines profitable, would not make it make it a good one for the airlines, because even when there was increase to 50,000 naira, the passengers have started leaving. But luckily for the industry, due to the insecurity on the rail and road transport, and passengers are still trying as much as possible to still fly, but not at the level that was predicted before the COVID, and also with this new increment. So the airlines know the implication of increasing this ticket fare. That's why they're fighting it, and they're taking the battle to the government and saying, address this for this fuel cost, so that we can retain our present fare structure, and see how we can still get our passengers back to fly the airlines.
But looking at this picture you painted so far, what do you think is the overall impact of all this aviation crisis in the long term on the economy?
Well, you see, one thing has come to stay. The AON has now shown they're forced to reckon with. You've shown your first reckon. All the while, what they've had in the past is they had individuals, leadership who are not members, who are not part of the schedule operators, and who were operating the private jets, and that did not make the push for the public sector, the scheduled carriers, come to the front burner. Now with their leadership, with their coercion, they have become a force, and they should now use this appropriately to get things right from the government, not to blackmail the government or to make fares unbearable for the citizens or for their customers. That a process has started. Their unity is what I support. I also want them to use that to build the industry. Again, must open a line of communication, because one ambition with that the government anywhere in the world. So there must be that channel of communication with the government, and ensure that there's that synergy of purpose.
Okay, so that was Olumide Ohunayo, a member of Aviation Roundtable, and we also had Abdulateef Aliyu, Daily Trust Aviation correspondent, joining us today on the show. Thank you so much for joining us. Hope to have you again.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so with that, we'll be wrapping up. Yes, Daybreak on Trust TV this morning. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back again tomorrow, same time, same station. I'm Dashan Husseina Usman.
I am Abdulaziz. See you tomorrow.